we should not only think of ownership housing, even rental housing needs to be supported because ghar to chahiye. We had represented to the government tax deduction on home loans should be increased to 5 lakhs because 2 lakhs is too low.
So it's an absolutely brilliant day out here. So very happy to be here at Hiranandani Parks, Oragadam, and with one of the stalwarts in the real estate industry, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. Welcome, sir. It's an absolute privilege and honor to have you and have your time with us. So we are seated here in this beautiful township of yours. So I know that any person in real estate worth their salt knows that Powai was transformed by Hiranandani. So what made you foray in Chennai? How did it happen?
It's a long story. We had a growth story in Powai and in Thane, and everybody said, just a possibility that how would you go into new areas and all. And we were studying various new cities and the periphery of new cities rather than the cities itself. Because we were looking at larger land banks where we would make a difference and we could create something which would be memorable. So we actually searched for various locations when we got to Oragadam. And at that point of time, there was the new connectivity coming to Oragadam. There was an outreach of creating expressways and connectivity roads which were being widened. Lots of new interests were there. We have a beautiful temple. We have Kalyan Mandapam. All this and more in one location done by one developer. An area of 380 acres of land, I think was the first of its kind of quality which we have done. So we represented the best in quality which you could get anywhere in Chennai, and we kind of upgraded it even further. So any part of Hiranandani Parks that you see, from horticulture to gardens to development, and 25% of the whole area is green, looks beautiful and very attractive. Water supply, which can be a challenge in some areas, we would get perennial water. And all this and more has attracted industry, warehousing, and all development to take place. We're very happy.
How well do you think the Chennai home buyer has embraced this township living concept?
I think it is embracing it, and Chennai has growth in various directions. But I think the future looks more in this direction in Oragadam because of industry, because of development which is taking place in activity, the new airport which is coming up in the area, in the vicinity. We are between the old airport and the new airport coming up there. I think the large number of Chennai residents and non-residents are interested in plots. So we have plots, we have villas, we have multi-storied housings, and the quality of life over here in Hiranandani Parks, Oragadam in Chennai is probably the best one could have anywhere in the world. Shopping area, the banking area, we have hospital. All that and more complete and delivered and available on the day that you move in is unprecedented.
Sir, what is the future of Hiranandani Parks now that you got towers that are built, beautifully landscaped gardens, I think about 7 gardens in all, and wonderful host of amenities that are in place. So what's next?
Well, the future looks brighter than the past. People who come to buy the plots, or they buy the villas, or they buy the apartments are going to have every facility ready on day one. I think it's fantastic. We are looking at various other aspects. We're looking at senior living. Senior living people will be amongst children in the gardens and areas which are there. There are schools nearby, so they can also visit and see all the young children play in the areas. There's a hospital which will take care of people's health in that area. And you have different activities. Walking is a delight. Walking in the atmosphere of trees, gardens, forests, and ultimately the spiritual bliss of a temple. I think it's one of the finest temples you can see in Chennai, and it's beautiful. It gives a lot of peace and tranquility to the entire place, and it's blessed. So I think the future looks fantastic. And probably amongst all our investments, this looks one of the bright stars of investments that's going to happen. So we're going to see a deluge of people who are going to invest in Hiranandani Parks in Chennai.
Fantastic. So I heard about the high rentals. So what do you think has fueled that kind of demand here?
The rental yields are probably the highest in the whole of Chennai. As compared to the price of the property, the returns are 6% plus. So I think that's the highest as far as Chennai is concerned in terms of rental yields in the real estate business. So I think we're going to see in the next 5 years huge demand in this segment. See, what has happened in Oragadam is concerned, Hiranandani Parks in particular, is the fact that it's surrounded by large number of factories. These factories have a large number of foreigners over here. 60% of the rentals are taken up by foreigners who are actually using these apartments, and they want a good quality, which is what we have provided for them with the service elements that we've been able to do, sports activities, and of course, golfing has really attracted many of them to come over here. So I think this is something which is beautiful and worth experiencing. And I took a hand at it this morning. So all this and more is something which gives you investment opportunity in Hiranandani Parks, which is second to none.
What do you think are the growth prospects as far as Chennai is concerned? So how well do you think we are positioned to have the benefit or advantage passed on to the home buyers here?
I think there are lots of advantages for Chennai. I think it's an education center. It's got good health and backing that is there. It's got ability to be able to create transport and communications, which is there today, but also for the future. So I think extension needs to be done. Ease of doing business is already there, but it needs to be further enhanced because there is a lot of competition among the states. A lot of other states are also improving the ease of doing business in their states. So you'll always have to be competitive, whether it's in industry, whether it's in townships or in real estate, all this is going to be there. So you do see the federalism working well for India, that our states are competitive. And I think the future for Tamil Nadu is super. All they have to do is to see that they take further care about the development of infrastructure, the development of policy measures and execution. So execution is the key.
The Tamil Nadu state government has announced certain guidelines on the township. So having had extensive experience developing townships in Mumbai, what would be your thoughts on that?
Different governments always create different types of policy depending on the suitability of the regulations, because all the regulations are state and different states have different regulations. So I think the township policy in the state is appropriate to Tamil Nadu, and I'm sure that other people will also take advantage of the new township policy and be able to embrace it. But the point is that not many people are committed to such large developments take place. It's a much more difficult activity than just taking up individual buildings for development or smaller layout. It's a humongous task. But I'm sure with the policy in place, many more townships will come about in this area and vicinity and possibly in other areas too. But I think the future is here. So there'll be more traction on this side than any other place.
What is your guidance for first generation entrepreneurs foraying into real estate?
Well, a lot of young people are bright minds. The opportunities which we had were very few. And we didn't have the opportunities to do entrepreneurships to the extent today. Today, the real estate is a great future because, as somebody says, food, clothing, shelter. These are the essential needs of human beings, and they are not going to end. As the families grow, as populations grow, more and more need for more food, more clothing, more shelter. So, real estate is definitely going to grow, whether it's in residential, whether it's in commercial, whether it's in retail, whether it's in industrial, whether it's in warehousing. All this is going to grow in the next couple of years. So entrepreneurship in real estate is the key in order to grow. Of course, startups are there. So a large amount of ideas in terms of technology is used as a backbone for purposes of startups. Even in the real estate, you have people who are able to do bookings on the net and other ideas and thoughts which are there and being used lucrative. Social media is being used very lucrative. So all this and more is an opportunity in the real estate field and other fields. But real estate is very attractive and is a guarantee that the demand will never come to an end. Because ghar to chahiye, homes you need. So you cannot, there's no option to that. we all ultimately go back home.
Sir, you have built a legacy and your brand stands very tall and it's synonymous with quality, integrity, workmanship, aesthetics, and the list is endless. So what is your suggestion to people who are aspiring to build a brand? What are the key tenets that one needs to look at?
I think everything is about being customer focused. That's the most important. Take care of the customer. So when you're doing a deal or selling them an apartment, just think of it that you are in the place of the buyer, not the other way around. Think of what you would like to get from the developer in terms of the product, in terms of the service, in terms of what you need and want. Once you put yourself in the shoes of the buyer, a large amount of solution takes place.
I'd like to hear a little bit about your views on the current real estate scenario across the country and Chennai specifically as well.
Well, we are the fastest growing nation in the entire world. Our GDP growth is 7% plus. I do believe by the end of the year, we will cross 8%. The way the progress of the country is taking place. We have national highways being built at 35 kilometers per day, and the target is more than 45 per day. Wow. We see the country growing. The China plus one story still continues. So that's wonderful to know that investments are coming into India. Also the fact that industry, manufacturing, IT and other spaces are growing in the country. So that's going to be the future in which India is going to grow and the entire country is growing. Now we have the opportunity to grow even faster. How we grab this opportunity is for us to see. And I think Tamil Nadu is doing a wonderful job in terms of taking over many of these activities into their fold and being able to grow the story very well. My belief, personally, real estate is going to grow at more than 15% compounded this year.
And they generally talk about real estate being a cyclic business. So what are your thoughts on that?
Of course, it's a cyclical business. When we had demonetization, we got GST, we brought in RERA, all the regulatory authorities came in. All those took time for us to really make the changes. We have been followed up by wars which have taken place in Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East war has taken place. China is creating a problem in the shipping areas, the Suez Canal crisis, which is there. So all that and more is been a very big challenge as far as the external headwinds are concerned. Fortunately for us, we've been insulated from that. And I would say the other way around. We've done it in spite of all those issues which are there. In the next 4 years, we're going to double the number of airports. Fortunately, in Chennai, you're going to get the second airport also.
Absolutely.
So that's another growth story that you're going to see. But all the infrastructure which is growing up in the entire country is creating a new paradigm in terms of growth story which is there. Barring the fact that monsoons could be a problem, I think we could be 8% GDP growth with other things and all. And I'm praying also that the Reserve Bank of India will ultimately start reducing interest rates because that is affecting affordable housing to a great extent. But mid-level housing and higher level luxury housing is growing in spite of the fact that interest rates are high. So that is not seeing a setback at all. And even the price points at which sales are taking place in Chennai, I have seen in the last 4-5 years is certainly growing.
Right. I'd love to hear your views on, real estate back then and now. How different are we? Have we evolved? And what are the key things that we need to look at?
Well, I've been in the line for 40 years, so the evolution has really been quite stark. 40 years ago, no bank which would give money to real estate developers. Today, the banks do. In those days, home loans were very difficult. And I don't think anybody below 35 really would get a loan unless they had some other secondary property to really back it up. Today, the thing has completely changed in the last 15, 20 years. Home loans are available, very critical to a 25, 30-year IT person. can go to a bank or financial institution and get a 20-year loan based on his first salary that he has got, on the expectation that he will continue to get income in the future, even if he loses his present job, and even if he gets a short time when he will not be able to pay the EMI, even then he'll be there. Second, interest rates have fallen. In the good old days, HDFC 20 years ago used to charge 16.5% interest on home loans. This has come down drastically and came down to as low as 6.5% 4 years ago. Of course, it's now gone up due to interest rate rise to 8.5, 8.7. But nevertheless, it's the lowest interest rate that can be done. Industry is paying more higher rates of interest than home loans to individuals. So I think that's another major change that has happened. The third is that people have been incentivized even by government in terms of interest on home loans, deduction available. If you're paying interest for your home loan, you can have a tax deduction to the extent of 2 lakhs from your salary. However, I think that is too low. And we had represented to the government, to the finance ministry, that should be increased to 5 lakhs because this 2 lakhs is too low. And the housing home prices have gone up and it's difficult to make 2 ends meet for the middle class. So I'm hoping that in the next budget, she will then increase that 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs at least. But having said that, that change has taken place. So one other major change which has taken place is that corporates have come into real estate. So listed companies, large companies are coming. Tata Housing is coming. The Godrej is coming. Prestige is coming. TLF in Delhi is there. South India, so many of them are now listed companies. So the stock market has now accepted IPOs to come into the real estate segment, which didn't exist before because there was no credibility of the real estate industry. Today, all these changes in terms of corporatization, investments. The other aspect of it is also the structures which are there. So for instance, let's say the REIT structure, which is there for mostly for corporates and commercial ideas, especially in the IT sector, large areas are given. So you have a real estate investment trust. So I think that's a big change which has taken place. The real estate was not considered a very good industry in my starting days. Today we have that credibility and institutions like NAREDCO, CREDAI and others which function within the system of the private developers and along with the government, I think are able to be credible in their representations to local authorities, to state governments and to the center government in order to make these change and represent what is the future of our real estate industry. And as the Prime Minister says, housing for all is the target. So whether you're in urban area or in rural areas, but I would like to add on my own that we should not only think of ownership housing, even rental housing needs to be supported. So I'm strongly working to the fact with the center government that and the states that they should give equal incentives for rental housing, whether it is by corporates. Some beginning has taken place for the purposes of dormitory housing in this budget. Certain incentives have been given to company corporates for their industrial worker and creating dormitories. So lots of changes have taken place in the last 35, 40 years, more to come. And ultimately, if we can get housing for all, for everybody sheltered under ownership and rental, I think it'd be a fantastic thing. And the way the GDP is growing, probably it won't be too far.
So thank you, sir. It was incredible having you amidst us. And thanks for sharing your nuggets of wisdom and your valuable insights. I think I'll take many of those away with me and hope to meet you soon. All the very best, sir.
Look forward to see you
again. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.